It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the beauty wood. Yeah, I really put a lot of thought into this one. Okay, the beauty and brilliance of being a bad bet. I had a longer title with a lot more B's in it, but that works. I am just winging this one. I've been thinking about this actually for a while. I was actually being silly, but it's true. Hey dogs, you want to be in the video too? Here, hop on my lap something, because it looks... Okay. Oh boy, here's my dog Ash. He has not been in a video yet. Hey Ash. And here's my dog Doug. We're gonna do a dance instruction video, right? Dancing with Doug. My kids are very excited about that. Speaking of which, I got this here in front of me, this puzzle. I've been thinking a lot about puzzles lately and lots of fun stuff there. But okay, the beauty of being a bad bet and the brilliance of it. So I bet my life, I bet my life, I bet my life on you. I bet my life, I bet my life. I'm here at my home and thinking about the situation I'm in, and it's like, one thing, God's already dealt with me about the pity parties. He's like, he cut those out about a year ago. He's like, seriously, Phil? Get over yourself. And so I haven't really been doing that as much, but one of my favorite verses growing up was, and actually even now, is where oxen is, the crib is clean. And my house is clean, and that's sad because, well, it's actually not so clean because my kids were here last week, so they kind of messed it up, and which is actually good. I miss that. I miss the chaos. I mean, I don't mind the peace, but, actually peace gets kind of boring after a while. Okay, dogs, you can get down there. Okay, we'll put you in the next video. Bye. Okay, so, okay, so my dogs want to make a cameo. You guys are, what's the word? Screen hogs, or prima donnas. Okay, we're done. Gotta get the eye boogers off. Oh, you want to eat your eye boogers? Okay, I'll give them your eye boogers. Okay, so beauty of being a bad bet. I was thinking about the movie World War Z. Okay, I watched that with some friends of mine a couple of months ago, the World War Z is interesting. This guy, he gets this, he trying to find, I won't give away the whole movie, but he's trying to find what's causing this zombie epidemic, okay? And along the way, he notices some things, some weaknesses in the zombie spread, okay? And by the end of the movie, he gets an opportunity to test it, to test his theory. Now the trick is, in order to test his theory, he has to use himself as the guinea pig. And of course, there's Brad Pitt in the movie, he's gonna live, it's, they're setting up for sequels eventually. But at the same time, when I was watching that, I was like, it was hitting me, it's like, we have these ideas of greatness, and we look back. I just watched this past week, I watched this movie, Darkest Hour, about Winston Churchill. And I've always studied Winston Churchill, and I knew a lot of the things in that movie, but I never really understood he didn't know he was going to be Winston Churchill. I study him now. I named my son Luke Churchill after Winston, after Churchill. And actually my first car was named Winston. But here's the thing, Winston Churchill didn't know he was going to be Winston Churchill. Right? He made decisions. He had doubts. In the movie Darkest Hour, they really get into that. And I thought that was powerful. Should we negotiate with Hitler? Should we sue for peace? Should we stand our ground? And so that movie kind of goes into that Darkest Hour of May of 1940, as France has fallen, the miracle of Dunkirk, all this kind of stuff. So actually, that movie and Dunkirk are great two movies to watch side by side, or two nights in a row or something. Great movies. But they didn't know. One of my favorite people, historical people, it's a sad story, but I think I've recounted it here previously. Ignaz Semmelweis, Hungarian physician. He basically said, hey, we're causing infections in these maternity wards. we need to wash our hands. I mean, very simple thing. And he was on to something. He was on to something. He didn't get all of it. He didn't understand germ theory. That would be Louis Pasteur later, a few years later, that would kind of develop that. But he knew something was happening. And he proposed to wash their hands. You know, a simple thing. And when they did it, the death rates, the fatality rates just dropped. And saved a lot of lives. But the sad story about that, Ignaz eventually died at an early age in an insane asylum with an infection. So the thing, you know, he basically, his brilliance, he was onto something, and yet he was rejected by the other doctors, and they curtailed or they blacklisted him or whatever, and he eventually went mad, and they admitted him. And then he was beaten apparently in the insane asylum, and he eventually died of sepsis, of a bacteria infection, which is the thing that he was onto, and he was onto something. Now he's seen as a hero, and now he's seen as a visionary, but he died alone in a hospital, in an insane asylum where he'd been admitted because people thought he was crazy because of what he'd come up with. It's a very, very sad story. Love to make a movie about it. I actually have a way of doing it that it would end on a positive note, but it's a very, very interesting thing. So in World War Z, of course, we know it's a Hollywood actor, they're going to survive, but that concept of, are you willing to be the guinea pig? When you're onto something, are you willing to be the guinea pig? Everybody's willing to afterwards say, oh yeah, I knew. You know, these visionaries, these inventors, these people that throw their whole lives into something. I won't get into all the literature, the great literature that was written. I remember one of them, I didn't read this, but the Confederacy of Dunces. I did do a little research on this, and this guy wrote this great novel. A friend of mine read it and was just gushing about it. And then the guy committed suicide because nobody received the novel, nobody liked it, felt rejected, eventually killed himself. Now later his estate took the novel and now it won some prizes and did very well. I have not read it. I should probably read that. But here's the thing: when you're onto something, how much are you willing to go all in? In poker terminology, are you willing to go all in? Are you willing to bet the farm? And then what if you're wrong? You know, we admire the people the Brad Pitts in World War Z who take the risk, who use themselves as a guinea pig, and they're right, and they survive, and you know, all is good in the world. Well, except for 2/3 that are infected with the zombie virus. But other than that, everything's good in the world, and they live happily ever after until the next movie. Okay, but are you, if God has given you something, if you're onto something, are you willing to go all in? Are you willing to risk it? And I say that this is not a what's the word, hypothetical thing for me. I'm in a situation now where I'm risking. That's why I'm at home working on stuff, calling people. You know, I know I'm on to something. And a couple of things. Actually, I would say there's about 5 things in my life right now that I'm the only one that sees it. And it's like, am I crazy? And that the most distressing thing about my whole situation is I'm smart enough to know that I could be crazy. You know, I'm not oblivious to the fact that some of the things I say and some of the things I'm not, and that you know, it's a questioning of yourself, especially when you know everything's telling you what you're right. Everything's the not just one anecdotal thing, but the thing with Ignaz Semmelweis. You know, he sees these things. He's watching them go. The doctors go into the morgue and then go into the maternity ward, and he's like, he's on to something, and then they do it, and it starts working, and he's like, okay, I was right. Okay, I should be. You know, we should do this everywhere and save a lot of lives. And if people reject him and kick him out. Now, with Dr. Semmelweis. Apparently, from what I read, he was kind of a difficult person to get along with, and that may have contributed to the insane asylum. There's more to the story than just, a doctor that everyone loved, but they thought he was crazy. No, there's more to it than that. But it's a sad story. But here's the thing, you know, and this is, I did a video a couple weeks ago when I was in Colorado about walking things out. And this is where God is with me. He's like, okay, can't feel sorry for yourself. Not going to go there. Can't attack other people. It's not about getting mad or vindictive or no, don't worry about that. Just walk it out. And so that is where I am. So I'm walking it out, putting pieces together as I'm able to, putting the links in the chain, you know, connecting one thing at a time. In the other room I have a Lego project that I'm working on. But you just, one piece at a time, start making connections. This thing, when we were working on this puzzle of the United States, you know, it started out 1,000-piece puzzle, and you know, you just start one piece at a time, borders, get the border pieces, do those, get certain colors, do those. You just start working it, and then sometimes you get a piece. I had a piece, I think, down here that I had to later, it was in the wrong place. It seemed like it fit, and that is one of the things about walking by faith. When God reveals things, when things start connecting, when you start to, sometimes you have to question, test things, and go, oh wait, is that piece in the right place? Did I interpret that correctly? Did I put, oh, maybe I didn't. So you start rearranging things, and then things start to fit, things start to come together. Anyway, I don't know. This rambling thing, I wasn't planning on doing this, but I just got off a phone call, and I'm onto something that I think could be really, really big. And yet everyone's like, yeah, come back to us when it's really big. I'm like, okay, yeah. You guys don't understand the concept of you buy low and you sell high. Everybody wants to buy high and sell when it's higher. You have to take risk. I mean, business opportunities, there are risks, and I'm taking a big risk. So I'm not. Yeah, I am taking a big risk. That's all I'll say about that. But I don't know. I kind of feel like being a guinea pig. Shalom.